I've been playing Arkham Knight all week. Got it on its release day, and I've just finished it this weekend. So whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on Arkham Knight. First of all, it looks fantastic. I'm playing it on Xbox One. The graphics are absolutely fantastic. Everything from the small details like the rain, the way it lands on the floor, and on Batman himself looks brilliant, really realistic. I noticed reflections on things when Batman's talking on his little wrist comm. The light from it reflects in Batman's eyes, which is such fantastic attention to detail. The whole thing on a from the smallest things to the grandest things looks fantastic. It's a gorgeous looking game. Everything about the gameplay is fluid and smooth. I've not encountered any glitches at all. No freezing, no getting stuck in walls or anything, which I used to do a lot on Asylum and City. Would glide off of walls and get stuck in gaps, and it just Batman would start having a little spasm. None of that. It flows so smoothly. It's unlike the PC version. It's really good. I found the story to be really interesting, a lot more interesting than City. I thought. I found the whole Scarecrow thing definitely the best Scarecrow they've done on the Arkham games. I found it to be a case of I have to know what happens. You kind of keep wanting to keep playing to see what's going to happen next. One of those kind of games where it's 2 in the morning and you think you should go to bed, but you go, no, but he's got Commissioner Gordon in the thing and I have to know why, and I have to go now, I have to know. There's plenty of side missions, really solid side missions, aren't too repetitive and boring. A couple I found the disarming the bombs to be extremely repetitive, and I kind of got bored of those. But a lot of the other side missions are really solid. They don't get old. I found the fireman one, where you have to hunt down the firemen and rescue them. The whole you have to find them yourself kind of thing. It adds to the detective side of Batman, which is probably my favourite part of Batman. My favourite Batman stories are more film noir based kind of detective style ones. So I really like whenever there's detective work involved where you have to go and find things for yourself. There's not the video game thing when there's an icon or something telling you exactly where the secret thing is. It's not really a secret if the game is telling you exactly where it is. I like that you have to find them all on your own. Speaking of detective stuff, I really enjoyed a lot of the crime scene stuff, and there were moments where you'd have to look over CCTV footage in buildings, and you could rewind and fast forward the footage to pinpoint little clues and moments that could lead you somewhere else, which I found that really interesting. And there's plenty of Easter eggs, really cool Easter eggs, lots of Easter eggs hinting at Superman, Lex Luthor, other DC characters, really obscure Batman villains. I personally came across an Easter egg for Crazy Quilt, which is a really fucking obscure Batman villain. I was kind of impressed by the fact that was in there. Like, who the fuck is going to get a reference to Crazy Quilt? When it's such a casual game that a lot of casual Batman fans will play that will have no idea who Crazy Quilt is. I found that to be a really nice little touch. Everybody is talking about the Batmobile, the big fucking Christopher Nolan style tank Batmobile, which initially I thought was brilliant. The very start of the game, you get it practically about 10 minutes into the game. My initial reaction was, this is amazing. You felt like an absolute beast. You were just basically tearing around Gotham, blowing up everything that came past you. After a while, I found it got really tedious. You were really overpowered, and it took a lot away from what makes Batman kind of Batman, that he's just a guy and has to use his detective skills and his cunning and his mind to get out of situations when he's overpowered or outnumbered. And every single situation where you were trapped, or there were a big gang of 20 guys with guns, it was just, I'll get the fucking Batmobile and kick the shit out of them. It made it too easy. And because the Batmobile was new to Arkham, it felt like they shoehorned it in every possible scenario. There were so many missions where the Batmobile was involved where it wasn't necessary. Some of the Riddler challenges where the Riddler designed a race course in his own little fashion with traps and little booby traps all over it, which I felt was a bit... The Riddler is, his big thing is a genius who creates these complicated riddles and puzzles to figure out that would use your mind and your intellect to break. That's the Riddler's whole thing, that he's more intelligent than anybody else, and he'll prove it by designing these stupid complex things that you have to be as clever as him to figure it out. And it struck me as something that the Riddler wouldn't do, because you don't have to be particularly that clever to just smash the Batmobile around a course and dodge a few traps. It struck me as a bit too forward and brute and power-based, which is not really Riddler at all. It was just a way because they had to use the Batmobiles more in the game. And going back to the disarming the bombs, that got really fucking tiresome, having to take on the drones and the tanks every 5 minutes. It wasn't that it was particularly difficult, it was just that it was the same shit, and it would go on for 5 or 10 minutes at a time where you just moving the Batmobile around and shooting at things. It was like playing a first-person shooter, but you couldn't run anywhere, you were just stuck in one corner. It was like playing Duck Hunt or something. It was a bit monotonous. So I felt like they could have really pulled back on the Batmobile a little bit. It was cool that it was involved in the game, but it was like they had to have it in every single possible thing, and it was way too overkill. I'm not a big Batmobile kind of guy. I prefer Batman when he's just being Batman, and I think the Batmobile should be a cool accessory, a novelty once in a while, and not take such a massive shining part of the game. So overall, I thought the game was really good. Strong, solid game. I did enjoy it. It felt a little bit weaker than City, I would have said. City had more of a grander feel to it, I think. I think the main downfall was that they tried so hard to make it feel epic and grand that it felt a bit forced, unlike something that's genuinely epic and grand does it on its own. But it was still a really good game. I give it an 8 out of 10, really enjoyable. I would definitely recommend it if you're a comic fan or a game fan, or both is even better. So, that was me talking bollocks. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, well, it's done now, you've watched it, so you've wasted your own time, haven't you? Bye.